Okay, I was just gonna tell the story about how I got ran over by a boat when I was driving a jet ski. I was 17 years old, uh, going into my senior year of high school. I was pretty dang good at wrestling and football. I I was actually for like wrestling. I was gonna be named captain that year for like a 5A school, pretty big school, the year before, and I was wrestling varsity a bit, at like 189 as a sophomore, and then a junior 215. So I was a big kid, and I got my butt whooped in those two classes as a junior or a sophomore. I got my butt whooped a lot. Junior, maybe half of them. So senior year would have been real nice because I was gonna be everybody was gonna be the same age as me. So I was like excited. I was already named captain. Father's Day, 2006, up at a lake called Coon Lake. It's just like, yeah, I know, Coon Lake. But we were out there driving around on a jet ski. I was with my dad, sister, her boyfriend, and a couple kids, and then two of my brothers and my girlfriend at the time. And we were just cruising around on the lake, and it was a busy day. It was Father's Day. It was beautiful out, and I remember it was super choppy because, a ton of boats, and it was a little windy. So, you could only kind of go so fast. Well, I was cruising around and coming in and out, trading on and off with people on the jet ski, and I had somebody else go first, and my dad asked, like, who wants to take it for the last spin? And I had to say yes, like, yeah, me, man, of course, I want to do it. So I go ahead, take it for the last spin, and I'm just cruising around there for a couple minutes, and I'm just kind of looking left, right, just left, right, and I look to the left, and I see this boat, just kind of coming at me, probably maybe to, like, that tree, it's probably a good 30 plus feet. It was even maybe a little bit further than that, but yeah, at least 30 to 50 feet, right? And well, I casually, again, I didn't think I was anything of it. I casually just start turning to the right, just and I kind of blinked my eyes, and it was fucking crazy. But this is what happened. So like when I closed my eyes, it almost felt like a dream, but I could see myself laying in the water, just kind of like upside down like this. You know what I'm saying? And uh, knocked out cold, and the life jacket was keeping me afloat, which is what actually happened. And then I kind of felt like a presence, and no panic or nothing. I just looked at myself. I could just see myself, what seemed for about 15 to 20 seconds, of like, what is this, is all I thought. And I I opened my eyes from the blink. Again, it felt like I blinked, and I sat up, and all of a sudden, like, I sat up like real fast, like, what the fuck happened? Because my head's going through so much stuff, and obviously I thought I just saw myself laying in some fucking water, like, and two people pushed me back down on the ground and hold me down and say, you gotta stay calm, you just got ran over by a boat. And I was just like, what the fuck? And I just put my head down. I was like, oh my, what? And I just felt all the pain just rushed in. Like I could feel it through my whole body. Like just an extreme amount of pain everywhere. And they just told me to lay still. They cut off my shorts, and they started, I think, an IV, and I don't know, all I know is I was hearing a helicopter, and I was just like, what the fuck, just how did that happen, like, it didn't seem like he was that close, and what the hell. I got so lucky too, I landed on my back, so that saved my life, the life jacket and then landing on my back, because what I found out later is, like, some people didn't come to get me out of the water for like 15 minutes. So I was laying there suspended for about 15 minutes before a pontoon even pulled up and pulled me out of the water. So I'm extremely lucky to be alive. So which I am thankful. I mean, this life is amazingly beautiful. It's got some shitty parts to it, don't get me wrong, but it starts with corporate greed and trickles down. They talk about trickle-down effect, how it's going to bring money. Nah, it just brings pain and agony because the corporate people don't think we're human. Anyways, so I get airlifted to the hospital down in the city, and I don't know, it went real quick because they put a bunch of morphine in me, and they're checking all my vital signs, this, that. They didn't know what was wrong or anything, so they I get to the roof and they start rushing me in the hospital, and like my body starts to go into shock, and I just start shaking, just you know what I'm saying, like crazy shaking. I couldn't control that. It was nuts, I couldn't do anything, and I get into the doctor's office, and I get put there. They start putting blankets on me, threw like 3 or 4 blankets on me. They're trying to just hold me down, make sure I didn't bite my tongue because it was uncontrollable. And I remember thinking the whole time, like, what the fuck, stop. I could not control it. It was just insane. Well, I had a huge cut right here. I don't know how well you guys can see it right here. Apparently from like here to here you could see my chin bone. So they had to cut, I don't know how well you can see this. They had to cut that right there and sew it up on the inside because it was so deep you could see my bone. They sewed it up on the inside and then the outside. So I still have that scar. That scar will never leave just because, the scar tissue, it was just such a deep scar. I also had one that was like down the side of my face. Actually, it was down this side because I got hit from this direction. That went away. Yeah, and then I got to the doctor. They sewed that up. I finally calmed down. The convulsions stopped, and I got in my regular room. They did a bunch of scans, and they figured out, like, I was extremely lucky because I was in really good shape back then. I wasn't a good kid either, so I ran from the cops a lot. Like, almost not talking about any of the things I did because I'm not stupid. But, so they specifically said that I didn't break any bones except for I had a hairline fracture on one of my outside vertebrae, like the tiny little branch part, that nothing else broke. The only thing that happened, well, a few things happened. Well, my left leg got pinned up in between the boat and the jet ski when it hit me, so my leg stuck there and my body went this way, so like my groin got completely ripped because it went just like stretched like a motherfucker, and that ripped my groin muscle completely. And then my vertebrae, like my first 3 vertebrae like that were straight, and then it went to the right and they came back to the left and they straightened out, so it was like and then up. And then my neck, instead of being like a backwards C, it was just like completely straight like that. So they had to make sure, they had to just make sure I didn't have any like major issues. I didn't, no organs or this or that. I got extremely lucky in a lot of different facets. They just had to make sure that I'd be able to walk out and go to the bathroom on my own before I could leave. So I was in there for 5 days, in the hospital for 5 days, trying to do physical therapy, using a cane to help me walk at 17 years old. So, I mean, that's already fucking with me mentally and everything. And, man, I finally got out after 5 days of being there. And but that just completely changed my life. Just absolutely changed my life. I went from being, a decent wrestling prospect and a somewhat alright football prospect, probably like maybe D3, nothing special, I'm not acting like I was fucking great, but I was at least pretty decent where I could have gone to college. Talked to a few different scouts here and there, more so for wrestling. I was pretty decent at that, and completely changed everything. Changed everything I even planned on doing. I wasn't planning on going to school for school. Fuck school. I didn't want to do school because like I liked to do school. I did school because I loved sports. And I wanted to do sports to go to school. You know what I'm saying? So I actually ended up choosing to go into the military, and I chose the Army. And I had a lot of anger and angst and hate back in the day, and 9/11 happened when I was in middle school. So I chose to be infantry because I had a few different job classifications after I did my ASVAB. I scored like a 34 or 37. I can't remember, one of those two, which was decent. I don't even remember what the scores are, but I had options, and I said, nope, I want to be 11 Bravo, period. Like, that's it. I wanted to go, and I wanted to like be the front line action. I wanted to be in on it. I wanted to see all that gruesome shit because I grew up in a pretty rough lifestyle anyway, so gruesome or I was abused as a child for years, so like I thought I'd be prepared for that type of stuff, and thank goodness I never actually ended up getting deployed. I did get to a regular unit. I will talk more about that in a different story because I got a couple Article 15 stories I gotta tell. Like, I was I was great in the military, but the military wasn't great for me because authority and me just don't really mix. When somebody tells me to do something that they're not willing to do, then we got a big problem. And in the military, they try to do that bullshit like, well, I'm a rank higher than you, you're gonna do this. And I ask them, would you do this? Well, no. Then fuck you, I'm not doing it. So I got a lot of different problems with that. But yeah, so it changed my whole trajectory, man. Like, guys, I survived getting ran over by a boat. And this guy, he was okay. He had a couple kids in the boat. Apparently, they didn't take me out because he said their kids fell out, so he's trying to save their kids and get them back to shore before they worried about me. And luckily, there was some pontoon that came and picked me up. But yeah, I went to court. His insurance had to pay for everything. Like, I didn't have to pay a single dime out of it. And I was intensive chiropractor for 6 months. In the first 3 months, the first month I had to go there every single day, 5 days a week. I had to get electropulse. I had to get adjusted, just completely reshape my spine back into an amazing point that I have less than a 7-degree bend still at 35 years old. Less than 7-degree, because I just got this measured last year too, because I had a pinched nerve where it was like actually the worst pain I've had since that boat accident, like in my back. That's been my biggest problem since getting ran over by a boat, is I have to stretch my back daily multiple times a day, and I really have to squeeze my abs and use my abs when I'm doing anything, because like my back, I just overprotected it after getting hit by the boat. And actually, in turn, was the reason I got out of the military. I got out of the military because of that pre-existing injury, because of that boat. Like, I was doing battle buddy carries and pinched nerve, and I got a long story for that, probably another 20-minute story, to be honest with you. But so I'll go into further detail. But yeah, it affected me a lot, and even still to this day, like, I'm lucky I'm walking and everything. But 6 months intensive chiropractor, and then I went physical therapy for 6 months too. I tried to play one game of football at my last game of football for my high school year, and that wasn't a good choice. I fucked my fluids up in my ear and had vertigo, so I had to go to homeschool for the second semester and second quarter, and I didn't get to do anything wrestling. And I went back to try to be around wrestling, and then my coach was a little bitch, running his mouth, acting calling me a glass jar or this or that, because I put on a bunch of weight too, which sucked for me because I was taking a shitload of protein. I was eating 4 to 5 meals a day. I was 215. I was trying to keep that weight, and I was trying to get actually even bigger for a defensive line. So I was already wrestling 215, a solid 215, but I was skinny, dude. So I was just trying to pack on and keep as much weight as I could. And as soon as I got hit by that boat, you know, my diet didn't really change too much, but my exercise completely stopped. And I went from 215, and by the end of my senior, well, towards the end of my senior year, because I knew I was going into the Army, I was up to 280 pounds within like 8 months. Completely fucked up my whole metabolic system and everything. And ever since then, I've had trouble with weight and going. I've been up, I've been down, I've been back up, I've been back down. Like right now I'm 206. I was just 250 2 years ago. So it's just hard. Ever since, like, getting ran over by a boat completely changed everything about my life, but it has absolutely made me appreciate every single day I get to live, even when I'm going through some bad times or good times. Like, it's been amazing. So, hey, you guys keep it going. Like, you can keep it going even after something bad, and do well. Have a good one. Peace.